You can spend a whole weekend and a couple $100 mulching your beds and still end up making your yard look cheaper than before you started. Mulch is supposed to be the finishing touch that makes everything look clean and expensive, but the wrong mulch, or the wrong way of using it, screams cheap from the street. And some of these mistakes are quietly killing your plants and trees at the same time. These are 10 mulch mistakes that make your yard look cheap, and exactly how to fix each one. Stick around, because the most common mistake of all is saved for last, and it is probably in your yard right now. And tell me in the comments what kind of mulch you are using. I am curious. Number 10, big, chunky bark nuggets. Those large fist-sized bark chunks seem like a deal because one bag covers a lot of ground, but they're one of the cheapest looking mulches you can buy. They never settle into a clean, finished surface. They sit in a loose, uneven pile. They float and wash away in the first heavy rain. And they're a nightmare to rake leaves out of in the fall. Up close, a bed of giant nuggets just looks coarse and unkempt. The fix is to go finer. A double shredded or triple shredded hardwood mulch with pieces from about 1/4 inch up to thumbnail size knits together into a smooth, rich, even blanket that looks expensive and stays put. Finer mulch also covers more area per bag and breaks down to feed your soil. Skip the giant chunks. Texture is what separates a high-end bed from a cheap one. Number 9, landscape fabric under your mulch. It sounds smart. Lay down weed fabric, cover it with mulch, never weed again. In reality, it is one of the biggest regrets in landscaping. Within a season or two, the fabric works its way up to the surface, and those ugly black edges poke through the mulch and flap in the wind. Worse, the mulch on top breaks down into soil. Weeds happily root in that new layer, and now you have weeds and exposed plastic, the exact opposite of what you wanted. It also blocks water, air, and nutrients from reaching your soil. The fix: skip the fabric in planted beds entirely. A proper 3-inch layer of mulch suppresses weeds on its own, and it actually improves your soil instead of choking it. Fabric belongs under gravel or stone, not under mulch in a garden bed. Number 8, choosing a mulch color that fights your house. Mulch comes in browns, blacks, reds, and golds, and people often grab whatever's on sale without thinking about how it looks against the home. A jet black mulch against a dark house disappears into a flat void. A bright orange-brown against warm brick looks loud and cheap. Mulch is a huge band of color wrapping your entire house, so it has to work with everything else. The safe, expensive-looking choice is almost always a natural, dark brown. It makes the green of your plants pop, it reads as rich soil, and it goes with nearly every house color. Match the mulch to the home and the plants, not to whatever bag is stacked by the store entrance, and the whole yard instantly looks more pulled together. Number 7, letting your mulch fade to gray. All natural mulch weathers. That rich brown slowly bleaches out to a dull, washed-out gray after a season in the sun. A little fading is normal, but a yard full of flat, colorless, crusty gray mulch looks tired and neglected, like nobody has touched the beds in years. You do not need to haul in a mountain of new mulch every spring, though. Often you can just turn over the top layer with a rake to bring the fresher material underneath back up, then top it off with a thin 1-inch refresh. That quick refresh at the start of the season is one of the highest impact, lowest cost things you can do. Crisp, dark mulch instantly makes the entire yard look cared for and expensive. Number 6, dumping mulch right on top of weeds. It's tempting to think a thick layer will smother whatever's growing and save you the work of weeding first. It won't. Established weeds and grass push straight up through fresh mulch within a couple of weeks, and now you've got weeds standing up out of a brand new bed, which looks lazy and cheap, because it is.
Mulch stops new weed seeds from sprouting. It does not kill weeds that are already rooted. The fix isn't glamorous. Pull or cut the existing weeds first, then lay your mulch about 3 inches deep. That depth blocks the light new seeds need to germinate. 5 extra minutes of weeding before you mulch is the difference between a clean bed and a weedy one poking through fresh mulch a week later. These last few don't just look cheap. They're the ones quietly damaging your plants, your trees, and even your house. Number 5, getting the depth wrong. Mulch depth is a Goldilocks problem, and most people miss in one of 2 directions. Too thin, just a dusting an inch or less, and you can see bare dirt underneath. Weeds break through easily, and it looks patchy and cheap. Too thick, piling at 4, 5, or 6 inches deep, and it actually suffocates your plant's roots, holds too much moisture, and rots the stems of anything it's piled against. The sweet spot is about 2 to 3 inches, even all the way across. That's deep enough to block weeds and hold moisture, and shallow enough to let air and water through. A consistent 2 to 3 inch layer is what makes a bed look professionally finished instead of either bare or buried. Number 4, rubber mulch. On paper it sounds genius. Made from recycled tires, it never breaks down, and you can buy it once and be done. In practice, it is one of the cheapest looking choices in any yard. It has an artificial, oddly uniform look and a faint plasticky sheen that never passes for natural. The color also fades to a dull, grungy tone over time. Beyond looks, it does nothing for your soil because it never decomposes. Water tends to bead up and run off it, and on a hot, sunny day, it can heat the ground beneath it to over 110 degrees, stressing your plant roots. Save rubber for a playground if you must. In a garden bed, a natural shredded hardwood mulch looks richer, feeds the soil, and costs less up front. Number 3, piling mulch right up against your house. When mulch is mounded against your siding, your foundation, or your wood trim, it traps moisture against the structure and builds a damp, cozy bridge that termites, ants, and other pests use to march straight into your home. It also just looks sloppy, like the mulch was dumped and spread with no care for where it stopped. Keep mulch back at least 6 inches from your foundation and siding, and never let it touch wood. That clean gap protects your house from moisture and pests, and a tidy, deliberate edge along the foundation reads as careful, high-end work. It is a small detail that quietly tells everyone the yard was done right. Number 2, the mulch volcano. This is the cone of mulch piled a foot high right up against a tree trunk. Once you learn to spot it, you will see it in front of half the houses on every street, which is exactly why it looks cheap and amateur. But it is far worse than ugly. It is slowly killing the tree. Mulch packed against the bark traps moisture and causes the bark to rot. It also pushes the tree to grow shallow roots up into the mulch. Those roots then circle back and strangle the trunk, a problem arborists call girdling. A dead or declining tree is about the most expensive looking cheap thing in any yard. The fix even has a name, the 3-3-3 rule. Keep mulch at least 3 inches back from the trunk, no more than 3 inches deep, and spread it about 3 feet around. Pull the mulch back, expose the flare at the base of the trunk, and your tree and your curb appeal will thank you. And number 1, the single biggest mulch mistake of all, bright red and orange dyed mulch. Nothing screams cheap faster from the street than a bed of fire engine red mulch. It looks artificial because it is. That color comes from dye sprayed onto ground up wood scraps, and within a couple of months in the sun it fades to a blotchy, washed out pink that looks even worse. There is a quality issue too. A lot of cheap dyed mulch is made from recycled wood waste, like old pallets and construction scraps, not clean garden wood. The fix is the easiest on this whole list. Switch to a natural,
undyed, double-shredded hardwood or pine bark mulch in a rich dark brown. It makes your plants look greener, your beds look expensive, and your whole yard look designed instead of dumped. If you change one thing this weekend, change the red mulch. So there is your mulch masterclass. 10 mistakes that quietly make your yard look cheap, and the easy fixes that make it look expensive. If you only change one thing this weekend, swap any bright red dyed mulch for a natural dark brown. It is the single fastest upgrade there is. And if you have got a mulch volcano around a tree, pull it back before it costs you the whole tree. If this saved you some money and some headaches, hit subscribe. This is Yardworthy, where we decode exactly what makes a yard look expensive, one fix at a time. I will see you in the next one.